For this project, we are using easily to find Play-Doh in the primary colors of red, yellow, and blue, and then we're also going to add a little bit of white. So we're going to start with some red, some yellow, and some blue. And red and yellow would usually make orange, yellow and blue green, and red and blue purple. But when we combine all three together, we should be able to get brown. So we're going to just mix all three of these colors together, and we might need to add additional colors to get the shade of brown that we want. Now we want it to get a little more tan. So we're going to take some white, and we're going to start with smaller amounts of the brown. It's a lot easier to go darker than it is to go lighter. Alright, so we're going to start with those two shades. And the key thing about miniature is working small. So we're going to portion off and roll some of our clay. And the first thing we're going to do is make a cup and saucer. So with our clay now rolled into a sphere, I'm going to look for a tool that will be useful for turning this into a pinch pot. So obviously my finger would be too much, so I need a smaller tool. And for this, I think the unsharpened end of a colored pencil would work. So we're going to press this in. And then we can tap it. That would be 1 cup. If we want to add a handle, we can use a contrasting color and roll out a very small coil. And then very carefully attach that to the side and shape it with another tool like a toothpick. That would give you your very small teacup. And then using another one of our spheres, we can very gently find another found tool and flatten that out, round off our edges. And that will become the saucer for the cup and saucer. And then I would just say to leave this, try to touch it as little as you can because it's very, very delicate. Leave it off to the side and let it dry. And if you don't want them stuck together, let them dry separately, and then you could put them back together. So that would be a little mini cup and saucer. Another thing you could make again, turning this into a pinch pot, but this time a larger one. So you would need a different tool, something wider, perhaps the end of a paintbrush, and you're going to press in and turn. Give it a tap, turn it over and tap it. And you can make a bowl. If you want this to flare out a little bit more, you can certainly go back in and widen it. And then set that aside, and now you have a bowl. There are so many different things that you can do with that simple pinch pot form. And depending on what tool you use, you can get all kinds of shapes and other things. So this is actually a great way to make miniatures to use with some small dolls or small toys in a dollhouse or a diorama. So many different things that you can do just using some Play-Doh to make little miniature, tiny little pottery. That you can use for playing or for displaying. It's a lot of fun things, and experimenting with mixing the colors is also a great thing to do. You can make miniature foods with this. You can make miniature cakes. Miniature donuts would be fun to make. So for a donut, if you wanted to serve a donut with your cup of tea there, you could start with something round and then flatten it out a little bit. And then using another piece, get that one really flat. If you want to have a chocolate frosted donut, layer that over the top. And then use something like a toothpick right in the middle. And you have a little donut. Put it on a plate. So there are lots of options of what you can do to make miniature things using Play-Doh.